Today I want to talk about how ugly I am. Today I want to talk about how stupid I am. Today I want to talk about Mario and Luigi Dream Team. Probably gonna get some shade for this one, so I'm actually gonna talk about this one and why I don't like it. Dream Team came out in 2013, 4 years after Bowser's Inside Story, a game I played to death and was equally as patient for. I remember sitting in my 11th grade marine bio class and thinking of nothing else, except maybe mutilating squids. At first, I liked the game. The new graphics were different, obviously. Not sure if they were indicative of the 3DS's own hardware since they were still sprites, albeit more detailed ones. Part of me preferred the previous 3-game style, but we'll get into that. This new entry had the brothers move around in a much more realized 3-dimensional plane, which was really cool at the time, as opposed to the top-down view of the previous games. This new land of Pillow Land was creative and interesting enough, not since the Bean Kingdom have Mario and his brother visited such an engaging locale. Not to mention the only other original locale since the previous 2 games were in the Mushroom Kingdom. Speaking of the Bean Kingdom, who hooligans are here, dude? Who hooligans? Also some other characters from games past, but we'll get into that later. The game seemed pretty good so far. Then it introduced me to the main gimmick of the game, which is putting your baby brother to sleep and going in his dreams, which most people already knew about going in since that's how it was advertised. And the game was already being heavily advertised because it was the year of Luigi, and the crying and complaining starts in 3, 2, 1. As soon as you get into the dream world, it's in the 2D space, like in Bowser's Inside Story, Inside Bowser. For me personally, this was a massive disappointment. The previous title, where half of the adventure took place inside Bowser, had 2-dimensional platforming, pseudo-Metroidvania style. Don't get me wrong, I love that style of half 2D, half top-down gameplay, but here it just felt like they were using what already worked before for the sake of what already worked before. Probably banking on lightning to strike twice, since the original was so incredibly well received. And for my money, Luigi's Dreams aren't as cool as Bowser's Gallbladder. A lot of this, 100%, has to do with my own personal bias. From the get-go, I preferred the previous game's version of this half-half style. To be honest, I probably could just leave it off there, since most of this is just going to be subjective. But what's funny is mine is probably even more worthless since I didn't even finish the game. I got to the mammoth fight and stopped. Not that that fight was particularly hard and forced me to stop. I actually just stopped because other games got in the way, I guess. It was later on in life I sold a lot of my 3DS collection, including Dream Team. But since then I've watched walkthroughs and speedruns to see what I was missing, and what I missed was honestly more of the same. Concluded with a twist I think most saw coming. Which is a shame because the previous game saw Bowser be the hero. Now I know I've repeated this in several of my videos. I feel like even the people that do like Dream Team agree with this sentiment. They probably wanted Bowser to return to a main protagonist or a supporting character, like in Super Paper Mario or Super Mario RPG. Now does this ruin the overall experience? No. Not really, but does it leave me wanting something along the lines of what they did with King Dedede in the Kirby series? Yeah, large majority of the early games had to fight King Dedede, but around Kirby's Return to Dreamland he became an ally. Not even an anti-hero, just a supporting protagonist. And whenever we fought him in modern titles on the 3DS or the Wii or the Switch, he would be under some sort of mind control. And sure, maybe that's a cop-out, but King Dedede is no longer Kirby's main arch-rival. And then, of course, spoiler, the main villain of the game isn't even the new villain of the game. It just ends up being Bowser betraying the new villain, Phantasma. It's just tradition at this point for every Mario and Luigi game's final boss to be Bowser in some way. But this time, it's Bowser just, being Bowser. Whereas the 3 previous times, it wasn't actually him, but someone using his body, but anyway. At the very least, if this game had Bowser under some sort of hypnosis from Phantasma, that honestly would be a lot more justified, in my opinion. The fact that he's just back to being evil and has not learned from any of the past games, Bowser's Inside Story included, especially at the end where it seemed like he was happy to receive some sort of recognition from the heroes and Peach, it is just disappointing. So let's talk about the gameplay and graphics. The graphics are definitely a lot more sophisticated this time around, not gonna argue that. I don't, however, think they are in any way a substantial upgrade from the previous style. The previous 3 games had very colorful sprites. The new style can still convey a lot. For me, both styles are really good, but I do prefer the old style, maybe just because of nostalgia. In terms of gameplay, the battle system is basically identical to the previous game. Bowser's Inside Story changed the badge system, where it once again get a means of boosting your stats or healing mid-battle or doing something crazy, as opposed to being equipment upgrades or accessory pieces like the first 2 games. However, the main new battle gimmick is when Mario is fighting alone in the Dream World, he has these Luigi Dream attacks. I don't like a single one of these new Luiginary attacks. They take really long, and a few of them are gyro controlled, which is a problem all on its own. It's excusable on home consoles because you're just moving the controller, but when you have to move the screen as well, it's really annoying. There are some games that are excusable, like the arrow shooting in Ocarina, but for stuff like this, I don't really care for it. It's the same reason why I hated the Ultra Wormholes in Pokemon Sun and Moon, or Ultra Sun and Moon, I forget. To be honest, even the Bros normal specials are kind of a letdown compared to the previous game, which are probably the most varied, most intuitive, minigame style special attacks in the whole series. I mentioned this in the previous video I did, so this is 100% my own personal experience. It's very likely that not many people watching are going to understand where I'm coming from, but the new art style and its very detailed sprites with a variety of different shades and colors actually make doing some of the special moves near impossible for me, particularly the bye-bye cannon, which makes it so you have to remember which bro comes down first and press the corresponding button. When sprites like this are moving really fast, I cannot determine who is who, but again, that's my own problem. I didn't have this problem with the previous game and the very similar Yoo-Hoo cannon, because the colors were much brighter. Just goes to show that because something is more detailed does not make it better, or in my case, visually easier to understand. Let's talk about the special attacks in more detail. Up to this point in the series, there were only 3 attack options, minus the hand. It was jump, hammer, and the bro's special moves. So when one of these does not feel satisfying, and it being the most varied and complex attack option, I just want to go home. What else is there? I already said that I did not like the Dream Luigi moves, but let's talk about the normal specials first. To start, they changed the red shell from being an upgraded version of the green shell to just Mario's shell attack. This is also a problem with Bowser's Inside Story, since, well, there is actually no red shell in that game. I don't know why, between Partners in Time and Bowser's Inside Story, that the developers decided that having a move that can go on infinitely is not allowed. It's also way slower from the shell attacks of the past. Not all of these attacks are stinkers, but notable ones that I don't like include the already mentioned bye-bye cannon, Bomb Derby, just a lame 2-input attack that's just too slow to justify its simplicity. Clearly the devs liked it enough though to put it in the sequel. Those Luiginary attacks. They're all slow, but not all bad. However, this game starting with the ball attack, with the gyroscope, meant it really didn't stand a chance against my patience. I need to re-emphasize why the special attacks not feeling great is a huge deal breaker for me. The special attacks in Mario RPGs are, in my opinion, the most fun thing to do in these games. Sometimes I'll just open up a random file from a game I already played and just perform the special attacks on a random enemy. The battle gameplay is made that much more engaging with fun special attacks and abilities. That's probably the best quality out of any Mario RPG. And if the battle system is anything less than engaging, then that's it. What else is there besides the overworld exploration, which is fun in games past, but Dream Team is, well, fun, it's just not enough, or not as enough as previous games. I noticed some people questioned what the hell I was talking about in the comment section when I referred to Dream Team as recycled Bowser's Inside Story. Not everything is literally recycled from Bowser's Inside Story, but between the giant battles and the reused puzzle thing makes me think that I'm just playing Bowser's Inside Story 2, and they feel more like filler in this game. Lastly, a minor nitpick at best, but Popple and Kylie being in the game should have been a lot cooler than just a cameo, since they don't even remember you for some reason. I struggle to understand the inclusion other than a shiny cameo telling me, oh shit, remember these guys? Honestly, the Year of Luigi marketing campaign really felt like the most desperate attempt to entice sales I have ever seen. The same way they repackaged New Super Mario U as Luigi U, felt like they were doing the same with Bowser's Inside Story. Radically unfair comparison aside, it has been a while since I picked up the game, And maybe if I picked it up now, I'd feel differently. The Wii U and 3DS era made a lot of games of that time feel really cheap and just super soulless. I know a lot of people associate Paper Jam with the downfall of the Mario and Luigi series, similar to how Sticker Star was the downfall of Paper Mario. But I honestly feel like it started with Dream Team. I hope I'm not just nonsensically rambling about really just non-important things regarding this game, especially when you ignore the previous 3 games. It's a pretty decent self-contained experience, and if you like it, all the power to you. It's not a bad game. Honestly, I was kind of debating not making this video. It's just an idea I had floating around, and I knew that if I made it, it was going to be mostly negative. Now, I know it could be possible that the game devs mostly focused on the new art style. I mean, clearly, I'd assume that they worked pretty hard on it because they reused it 4 times in a row. Maybe they focused too hard on that instead of the story or the gameplay mechanics, because clearly, in my opinion, those are the things of this game that could have used more polishing. Let me know how stupid and wrong I am in the comments, and don't forget to call me ugly.